Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Off the Rack. I'm Sal.
And I'm Tiffany.
This is our live comic book review show where we take comic books from the past week, we recap them, review them, and tell you what we thought about them. And occasionally we will also talk about comic book related movies that are coming out, like we are in today's episode.
Yeah.
And of course, we are sponsored by viewers like you. If you're watching the show live, you could be a sponsor and keep all the riffraff out by using super chats. You can ask a question or comment, we'll read it here on the show, and you'll be part of the show forever. So, we encourage you to do that. Like these fine, good people. We have a few people who dropped in earlier. Cat Lawyer will defend for treats. My local comic book store had 1 free comic per person for free comic book day.
No.
3 with a purchase. Is that normal? No one picked up anything not Marvel and DC. I'd love your insight. No, you have a crappy comic book store.
Yeah, it's up to the purview of the
Retailer?
Yeah, the retailer, but because they have to buy them, I think.
They do have to buy them. They do have to pay for those books. But I've never heard of that before, and
I've heard of a limit.
I've heard of a limit. Yes, absolutely. Like you can't clean them out.
Like you can take like 3 to 5.
Yeah, between 3 and
4,
5,
depending on how many they have. I've seen that, but nothing quite like that. I'll be honest with you.
Certainly nothing like there has to be a purchase in order to make it happen. That's horseshit. Your retailer sucks. But yeah, so it was Free Comic Book Day. I'm very excited because that's going to be our topic for today. Of course, we also talk about reviews, recommendations, and we have news. We chat about news at the top of the hour before we get into our reviews. Today, I want to talk about Free Comic Book Day because we just celebrated it this past weekend. It was on Saturday. I noticed that one of the comic book stores we didn't get a chance to go to did a whole comic book day weekend kind of thing where on Friday they had a 50-cent bin sale, and then on Free Comic Book Day itself it was a $1 bin sale, and then on Sunday it went back to 50-cent bins. I don't know if they changed out the bins or not because we didn't go.
No.
But there's certainly a lot of comic shops went all out. I know that Dewey's Comic City in Dover, New Jersey, they had over 70 artists and creators at their school for gifted youngsters, to put a little bit more flowery.
Kind of is.
But yeah, right? So they had a huge amount of people there, but the sales were lacking. They had, I think, 30% off was their limit on books.
Listen, it's still a sale. And if that's your comic book store, that's great.
They had a sale, and it was 30% off of the back issues, and yeah. And they didn't seem to have much of a limit on free comic books either. There was another comic book store, Zap Comics. They had a aggressive sale, as they always do. That one's in Wayne, New Jersey, or Manalapan. But and by the way, both stores were participating in the exact same sale. But they had 50% off pretty much everything comic book related in the store. Wall books, back issues, trade paperbacks, collections, those packages where it's like, oh, here's 1 through 6 for $20. Those as well, half off.
Yeah.
Pretty much everything in the store that wasn't manga or action figure or statue and collectible related.
Yeah.
They also
definitely there were some toys. I was like,
damn it, when am I going to get that? But also they had Dan DiDio there. So we had a chance to bump into Dan DiDio and say hi. And he was fun. He was affable. He was very, it was humbled by the experience of working for this new company he's created with Frank Miller Productions, where he's like, boy, it's a little different when it's just a handful of people trying to kind of start all over again.
Yeah, make something happen versus
Exactly.
like an established, long-running company with a larger staff.
Yeah, damn right. And then there were some other stores that did like stuff they've done before, 25% off things in the store. Up to 50 was one of those stores. Up to 50.
Okay.
And it was like, what was 50? Like, well,
I mean, listen, you can't. That's a thing you see everywhere. I'm
yes.
not gonna give them a hard time about that.
No. But
you already know what you're getting into when you enter into a place like that, where it says up to something. You're like, so not really that,
right? But
I'll still look.
Free Comic Book Day is almost 20 years old, if not already 20 years old, and I wanted to ask you, because you're a relative newcomer to Free Comic Book Day. I was there. I was in a comic shop on the first Free Comic Book Day.
Okay.
Boots on the ground. I didn't even know they were free comics. I honestly, I heard Free Comic Book Day, and I thought, oh, cool. That means that like every retailer is participating. That means that like you can pick one, because it's set up to 3. I remember that was one of those stores. So I was like, okay, so I can pick 3 books off the shelf, and then those will be free. And I picked up that Spider-Man issue that got me back into Spider-Man and a couple other books. And he's like, no. Those over there, those special comics made for the promotion. And I was like, oh, that's much less exciting. And I've never been terribly excited for the Free Comic Book Day offerings ever again. And I kind of use Free Comic Book Day as an opportunity to kind of like celebrate comics, maybe get an idea about what's going on in the main continuities of books. I know you like to use it as an opportunity to kind of like delve into places, publishers, and stories and ideas that you don't normally check out. But overall, it is meant to get asses in comic book stores. That's the job. So after 20 years, would you say that it is successful? And if it is successful in what they're trying to do, which is essentially get more people in comic book stores, sell more comic books? Is Free Comic Book Day working the way it is? And if not, what improvements or changes would you make to make Free Comic Book Day a little bit better?
I honestly think that it is only as successful as the store makes it.
That's true. That's fair.
You know, you do have to have the offerings there. I feel like one year one side didn't do anything. Was it DC one year didn't participate?
Yeah, well, certainly during the pandemic, I think no one participated. And they moved it to August or something.
Yeah, something like that. But you know, so as long as the offerings are there,
yes.
It really just comes down to how well the individual store manages to market it.
Yeah.
Now, I'm like, okay, that's fine. I mean, like that's how they run their businesses. It's up to how well they do that. But something like this, I feel like maybe we should come out with like a mini marketing plan, but I don't know who would do that.
Oh, like a little description. Here's how your store could implement Free Comic Book Day.
I don't know, but like
so insulting as a business owner. But I will tell you this: a lot of comic book stores could use the help.
It would. Oh no, I understand that might be very, very insulting, but it might spark some other inspiration for them.
Yes.
And like for the stores that don't need it, they'd be like, "Ha, okay, cool, whatever."
Okay, thanks.
I'm good. But for the stores that maybe you're like, I don't know how to get people in here.
Exactly.
Like, not that they would be like the most,
receptive,
groundbreaking ideas, but at least you give them something where it's like, hey, you might want to try this, or
right.
you might want to try that. I don't know. I just feel that there are some stores that definitely run it beher than others. Like we went to another store that didn't even acknowledge.
They didn't even have the free comic books.
Yeah, like that was just they're not doing it.
They just weren't doing it.
Yeah.
I think that was because they would have to have participated with DC, which, like, I want to say they're probably the only comic book store left that is like, nope. There's 2 comic book stores actually I know that don't participate with DC because of the lunar situation during the pandemic.
Because of the lunar cycles. Got it.
That's right. Yes. Because Mercury was in retrograde.
Right. But I feel like, we were in a store actually the day before Free Comic Book Day.
Yeah.
And because
that's our lives.
Because that's what we do, apparently. We were going to get dinner and they were like, oh, hey, let's go there too. Even though we're going to go there, like not there, but a different one the next day.
The next day, yeah.
And a couple guys came in and they were like, hey, I heard about this like Free Comic Book Day. Like, are you going to doing that? Can I come here for that? And they're like, yes.
Right.
So people are hearing it from someplace. So maybe the other thing too is to make sure that you're like putting out information like
into the world
and like so this is like helpful to you, but then also helpful to everyone else around you. But like, so since I work for a like school marketing department, I've learned all about these things that I would never know about, like these like family kind of websites, like these Patch, and like it's like this local thing, right? Where it's like, oh, you go to like patch.com and it's like for each of your towns, right?
Okay.
And then you can like submit stories to them.
Okay.
And they might pick it up. So you could be like, Free Comic Book Day is coming. And parents look at those things.
That's a good idea.
Like parents go through those things. And if you want to get new readers in, you want to get like kids
young
in the
readers
store, like it's one of those things that could get that to happen.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if again, that's not maybe like a nationwide thing.
No.
I don't really know, but that'd be something where they send out like, hey, find out if there's like a local
participating
like family website or something like
that.
You might be able to write up something, or here's a write-up you could send to them that says like, hey, this weekend is Free Comic Book Day, blah, 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 and it'll link to your store or whatever. But it's just one of those things that could help them, because I do think there's a benefit to it. I think it's fun for families to go, especially if maybe one of the parents has read comics before, or they're familiar, thanks to, DC movies, Marvel movies.
Yeah.
It gets them into this place, and maybe they use the kid as a gateway. Maybe they also grab something that they're interested in.
We've seen that before.
Yeah. But the kids are a good place to start trying to get new readers in, because they're more, like, even though there really isn't in the world that we all exist in, like a stigma around comics as like kid material.
Right. Yeah.
I think it's slowly shifting. I like to think that the meter is moving. It's easier for a kid to just embrace it.
Yes.
So I don't know. I feel like it could very well be a really powerful tool. But that unfortunately a lot of it rests on the shoulders of the shop owners, which is a lot to ask of them. I'm gonna fully admit that, because it's like, hey, I'm running my store, I'm doing all the stuff I normally do, and now I need to also market this event.
Yes.
And some of them can hit it out of the park if they've got a larger staff. If that's kind of what they do on the norm. But it might be harder for the smaller shop.
Absolutely.
So I just feel like it's successful,
but
based on
the success of whoever is participating in it. I think that there could be more being done to raise awareness. I think that you're right that the onus is on the owners almost entirely. Like Diamond and company are just kind of like, here are the free books. Now make a thing happen.
We did our end. Now we're done.
And it's like, they're not free. Retailers have to order them anyway and pay for them. So it's like, what? So what did you do? I mean, like you strong-armed the publishers into producing work that is dedicated for this event, which will not make any money.
Now I know there are,
and that's cool, because like that's what sometimes promotions are required to do.
Right. And there is some sort of marketing material, because you'll see like posters that they have, on the bags themselves. So there definitely is marketing material. But I don't know if there's like a cohesive plan from store to store.
Fair.
And it's interesting, because it's like Diamond really should have a vested interest in this, because if this goes away, it's just,
especially since their lunch is being eaten and they may not be long for this world.
Right. But this is something that you actually do profit off of. I don't know.
Right. I agree. Okay, well, that's fair.
I think it's also a good opportunity, if you don't have a limit, to pick up something new. Like I'll often pick up some obviously some indie titles, me, just to sample what's coming in. And from those, I've often put things on a pull list, or I'm like, ooh, I want that. So for them, that is entirely effective.
Absolutely.
I think it's almost weirdly more effective for indie for me, than it is for mainstream.
Totally.
I don't know.
Yeah. So there you have it. Let's jump into some books really quick that came out this past week that we think you should check out.
But not a whole lot.
Not a whole lot.
I mean, a lot came out.
But we're going to dedicate most of the show to Guardians, and we're going to do a spoiler-free review, and then we're going to get into spoilers. But before we do that, the show is about comics, so we're going to jump into some comics. We're going to do our reviews, and then we'll recommend comics that are coming out this week at the end of the show, I think.
Oh, at the end of the show?
Yeah.
Or at the end of the segment?
Do you want to do the segment?
I know, I'm asking you.
I don't care.
Okay.
Baggins117 says, hey, Sal, I enjoyed your video with Joel, and I was wondering who your favorite Spider-Man villain is. When I was a kid, it was Venom, but more and more, I think it's Green Goblin.
Kraven the Hunter, got it.
Easily. Ray Farr, ComicPop Woo, thanks, Ray. I picked up Batman Dead Man because of your awesome review on that book. That's Tiffany over here.
Yay!
Thank you again for letting me know about a great book.
Yeah, that was one that I think flew under the radar for a lot of folk. So happy to shed some light.
Yeah, despite the fact that they made a promotional poster for it, which we own, that's up here in the studio.
I looked over there because I was like, isn't it there?
No, it used to be there, though.
I don't know.
Before we jump into more, I want to talk about this Dawn of DC Night Terror special edition that came out from Free Comic Book Day. This is, of course, written primarily by Joshua Williamson with art by Chris Bocciolo and company. This was, obviously it's supposed to whet your appetite for the Night Terrors event. It's, by the way, an event that is going to be essentially 2 issues and then a bunch of participating issues. So while I was not critical, but I was more passively critical of it on Twitter. They released a checklist order for the Night Terrors event, and I said that's a lot. And I think that if you were to look at it, it would seem overwhelming the way that they presented it.
Yeah.
Though I think the lesson really is, the takeaway for it is, there's 2 issues of the story. And if you want to find out how Night Terror has affected some of your favorite characters, there are Night Terror tie-ins that will focus entirely on the nightmares that are being experienced by a bunch of characters. And there's 2 issues per... I'm sorry, there are 4 issues of Night Terrors. Look at that.
Is there?
Yeah, look.
Where do you see that?
Night Terror, Night Terrors 3, 4.
Oh yeah, okay.
And Night Terrors, Night's End. All right, so it's actually not a lot. It's like 4 or 5. It's like a standard size
event.
It's,
but then there's and then you get to pick and choose what you like to read. None of those will probably be required reading.
Yeah, it starts out with Night Terror's First Blood, then 1 and 2, 3 and 4.
Yeah.
And I think that's it. And you can read Night's End as well.
Why does Night's End in the list ahead of Night Terrors 3 and 4?
Who the hell knows?
Okay.
So this is look at this. Look at all these books for this one thing.
It's daunting. And if, again, you're right that like if someone was to glance at that,
they'd be like, nope.
It is interesting, like the concept though, having not read this, because I'll be honest with you, I didn't.
You just have no time.
I really didn't. This was a bad week for all these fun things to come out and happen.
Yes.
But presumably you're looking at like a nightmare scenario for each of these characters.
Yes.
Right. And that's interesting because a lot of tie-ins force you to play in their sandbox, but this really lets you, as the writer, presumably, take the character and just tell a fun story that has this like, here's the idea, here's the framework that you kind of have to live in, but you basically do whatever you want because it's not like you really need to participate.
Right. Exactly.
Presumably. Again, this is all presumable.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No. The characters that are the character designs. The character designs for like the Night Terrors are so sick. I am so like on board.
Okay, I am and I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm seeing this for the first time.
Night Terror's Batman, who is little Bruce, and then a bat with a gun that's built into its face. I think the idea is it's supposed to be like it's a nightmare. You know, it's like it is beyond reason.
It is built into it. I thought it. Okay, that's so funny. I thought it was Bruce, and then his mouth opened, and then the bat came out, and then out of his face,
out of his mouth, the gun came out. I mean, that's more or less what you're looking at.
It comes in threes.
Yeah. But
listen, if I saw that in my nightmares, that would be terrifying.
Exactly. But Superman gets one,
was
Wonder
not
Woman
prepared for that.
Yeah. But there's a lot of really cool designs. These are mostly done by Dan Mora.
Dope.
And Francesco Mattina did these incredible covers, which are just like insane. The other thing to take away from this is that Deadman is involved in a big way, which is cool. So it's like, you know, it highlights the Trinity, but Deadman is behind the scenes the entire time.
Okay.
And I know a lot of people were not a lot of people. I saw at least one or two like people who were like, oh, so it's all about Dr. Destiny. And I'm like, Dr. Destiny appears in the first issue, but that's all we like. Yeah, it's not about that.
Right. Oh man, this is just
way weird.
Yeah. I'm not complaining.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that is just what this is. And I can't tell if opportunity to retread old ground or one trick pony now.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh.
Good stuff though. Like it looks really great.
Okay. When we get out of there, it does look different. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I don't think he drew the after part.
No, I meant like when we get out of like this.
Yeah, after you get out of the nightmare.
Yeah. That's on him?
No.
Oh yeah, you're right. That's on him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
But
right, well, I still love it.
It's great. And
it looks amazing.
Did this make me want to read it? I think that the name of the event and the pitch made me want to read it. This Free Comic Book Day issue didn't make me go like, well, now I gotta read it. It was more like, this is really cool. I think the designs made me more excited.
I think this is smart to do because they're very fortunate that Free Comic Book Day came around as this was coming out, because people might be like, I'm done with events, I don't care, whatever.
Yeah.
But you might pick this up and go like, all right, maybe I do.
That's pretty cool. Oh wait, there's 47 tie-ins. Oops.
Right, but maybe from this you recognize that it's tie-ins.
Tie-ins and not like the core event. I would hope.
Scary.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. Oh.
Yeah. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. No, there's definitely some really dope stuff here. Okay, I would not have gone that way for that. But that's interesting.
I want to know why. You know?
Yeah,
that's
I'm
the thing. They all tell a story, but I don't know what the
you fail. I'm just kind of like, oh, neat. Like that. I would not have gone that way.
No.
Cool.
So that was fun.
I like that they did this kind of like Hellfire Gala.
Yeah, exactly.
In the back a little bit.
Yeah. I leafed through some of the Marvel ones. Man, the Spider team has really like forced me to not be. I picked up the Spider-Man Free Comic Book Day and I just leafed through it and I was like, there's nothing here I'm excited for. It's not like anything. It's not like Paul is the main character of that issue, but it was just kind of like, man, I'm not. You have murdered my interest in this entire universe.
Right.
The Uncanny Avengers though looks really cool, so that's exciting.
Okay. Francesco Mattina is
killing
it on these variant covers.
Right.
This is incredible.
I know.
Just that really creepy wake up.
Right.
Of the Joker. Oh, that's so fun. and creepy.
Yeah,
but also fun.
No, it gives them a great opportunity to like really play with this idea and just have fun and kind of give you this kind of casual. Well, do you know what? Just check it out. Check out this thing. Jump in. You know, it's not a Dark Knight's Metal saga that's gonna overwhelm the entire series. All the tie-ins have their own books, so it's not gonna interrupt the dawn of DC.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And you get to pick and choose, I guess.
I think you can. I don't think you have to read everything.
Well, the art's pretty, and I like Bocciolo, even if it's like it reminded me. Like I was.
It's eyes on tendrils that are Beetlejuice inspired. It's 100% just way the weird again.
That's what they wanted.
Yeah,
it is. A nightmare escape. I don't know.
That's true.
Kind of. I like it.
So right.
I'll check that out.
Right. How about you, Tiff? What'd you read?
Let's just the one thing. I definitely wanted to talk about before we jumped into anything. Because. I was so hyped over Sins of Sinister.
Yes.
So I read Immortal X-Men. So let's talk about that really quickly. It's Immortal X-Men number 11, getting back to Gillen's Immortal X-Men run. And this is like, hey, this just ended, so we're just gonna pick up from the conversations that
just ended in the last one. Nice.
Yeah. So I mean, like, really, what this does is go like, all right. So how we took, Xavier, Hope, Exodus, and Emma off the table.
Yes,
we're kind of putting them back on the table.
Oh,
but in a reduced capacity, and it's really well couched because it's told via Storm narration.
Yeah,
so we get to kind of get into her head. She's got the knowledge that Mother Righteous has provided of like the timeline, along with Rasputin, like psychic they went through, and they were like, it's all like that happened.
Yeah,
100%. That is what happened.
Totally.
So she knows everything that occurred. So she pulls everybody out of the pit.
Okay.
And essentially, they find like they use Forge's abilities. Forge is like, let me do this. I always have to clean up my own messes. Let's clean up somebody else's mess. So he, creates some sort of tech
machine.
He comes up with a plan. He finds it, and it's like this really cleverly placed genetic code to put in there. They find it, they eradicate it, but they're like, I honestly, I can't be certain that we got it all,
right?
Because I don't know. I think it looks like we did, but maybe we didn't. I don't know, right? So they're like, all right, cool. So we're all good. So what happened like on the Quiet Council since we've been gone? Like what's going on? And like Storm's like, hold on, excuse me, we're not done here because actually we can't trust you on the Quiet Council if we don't know that it's gone.
Right. Well, that's why we jumped in the pit in the first place.
Right. But they're like, yeah, until you can get the stuff out of us. And they're like, but you did. And they're like, yeah, but what if we didn't?
Yeah.
And they all kind of have like a little like hissy fit about it.
Okay.
And we learned like not a lot of folk are fans of Xavier. Like Storm's even just kind of like, I had enough of him. So what Storm did was she put together, utilizing like the psychic images that they had and timeline images like from Mother Righteous, I suppose. She put together like little movies for them to watch of like the things that they did over 1,000 years in this alternate future. And so they're all like shook by that. They all shook.
Good.
But they still are like, well, what are we going to do then? And she's like, we can't just kick you off the Quiet Council. It's going to throw everything to disarray. It should be like, oh, yeah, we kicked all these other people off, and now we're also kicking off these 4 members, and it's going to look like bad for us.
Yeah.
So you'll sit on the Quiet Council. Also, you have a lot of knowledge, and we do want to be able to, counsel with you.
Yeah.
So, but you don't get a vote.
Right. Oh, okay.
No more vote for you 4. Which, not everybody takes super well.
No.
Hope is like enough of Exodus. She's like, get away from me. You left me to die.
Yeah.
Which is really
in that alternate future where you were Sinister as well.
Right. But they all take it very personally because it really is like the worst parts of them. Like Sinister took the worst parts of them and brought it to light. Right?
Which is not like truly them, but yeah.
But it is the worst part of you. It's in there somewhere.
Right.
So Storm and Xavier confront Destiny. They talk about her role in all of this, how
she's trash.
How she's just a garbage person. Exodus and Hope have a huge brawl. Like, Hope is not letting this go. She wants to beat his ass, and Storm shows up and is like, "You just gonna let everyone on Krakoa just see you two fighting it out?"
Yes.
So they don't. They take it to the ground where Hope takes his powers away. She depowers herself essentially, and then she just punches him, and he's like, "I'm like bigger than you." She's like, "Yeah, but my dad trained me, and he's way bigger than you."
Right, that's fair.
So they fight it out, and then she leaves him, and she's like, "I'm not your Messiah, and you're not his church. We're done.
Okay,
we are done." Their roles, like Xavier can't do resurrections any longer. He's not going to be allowed to help that process. Hope also will be doing it at a reduced capacity.
Okay.
And everyone that she brings back, they'll check.
Right.
To make sure that nothing's there.
Okay.
It's not a perfect situation, but you can start to see how things are unraveling.
Yes.
And I'm like, I appreciate that. This was a little tipping point.
Right.
To start.
Since Sinister really screwed things up.
Yeah. Even though it put everything back, it really screwed everything up. Mother Righteous goes to Mystique because, you know, she's Mother Righteous and she's a Sinister, so she can't help herself. She's like putting her own little machinations into play. Now we got someone else with machinations happening.
Okay.
I completely understand why they might want to bring Apocalypse back to
fix all this.
Or to be like, all right, well, it's all going to hell. Me too.
Yeah, me and my fam.
Why not me?
I mean, I think that's where it was all going anyway, but yeah.
So she's like, oh, I have this message that was from Sinister or from Irene to Sinister. I wanted to bring it to her. I'm just trying to make sure all the information gets to the right people.
Okay.
So she leaves and she's like, oh, it's about you, by the way. And Mother Righteous leaves. She listens to it naturally. She discovers that, you know, Destiny was keeping that timeline alive in order to keep Raven
Mystique,
alive.
Yeah.
And how much she knew that would not make her happy. So those two are going to have a falling out, clearly. And then right at the end, we discover that Mother Righteous is working with Sebastian Shaw, and they had been. And in fact, remember when Celine like showed up and was like being bankrolled by somebody? It was Mother Righteous.
Oh, okay.
And he knew that.
Right.
And he's like, listen, I know this whole thing's going down. And Krakoa's got a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I want it all.
Right.
He's like, I'll do whatever you need. And she's like, well, what I'm going to need you to do. And she hands him a list. She's like, I need you to make these proposals happen on the Quiet Council. And he's like, there's no way. And she's like, trust me, it's going to happen.
Right.
Meanwhile, Storm is leaving to go back to Arakko. And that's when like Emma really lays into her. And I really appreciated it because like, I love Storm.
Yes.
And I'm like, yes, Storm, you're right. Queen, everything. But then I was like, to be fair, Emma is not wrong.
You're right. All the things she's saying.
Because Emma's a total bitch, let's be honest. But she laid it out for her where she's like, you know, you like, because Xavier's not taking it well, Hope's not taking it well, and Emma's just like,
right. Okay.
She's like, I've been a villain before.
I'm evil.
I know how to deal with like shame.
Yeah.
So, but you know, in the future, like that other timeline, first of all, that was sinisterized versions of ourselves. And even though that was our deepest, darkest parts, it wasn't truly who we are because I'm not just that. I'm other things.
Exactly. Good for her.
And then she's like, and you left and you let us carry on and drown for 5 years before you realized anything was up.
Yeah. So what's your problem? Yeah.
Like, and the problem is that you're trying to do like that job up there because, you know, you act like, you know, because Arakko's like, there is no king, there is no like ruler, and yet they worship you as a god.
Yeah.
So aren't you kind of a hypocrite?
Right.
And you didn't help us down here. So Storm rationalizes that it's like she's just saying that because she's actually feeling hurt, which I believe.
Okay.
And she's probably lashing out, but she's like, but she's also not wrong and weapon well played. So Storm's like, I can't give up my seat on Arakko and I can't give up my seat down here. How am I going to do this? So she's like, I need someone down here to help vote for me by proxy.
Okay.
So she's like, Colossus, can you help me with that? I'm like, oh. So that Colossus thread that Ben Percy's been like just dangling.
It's finally been.
Yeah. I'm like, okay.
Cool.
So I appreciated this issue. It was like,
yeah,
it was unnecessary for the Sins of Sinister arc, but I appreciate it as, you know, keeping the momentum kind of going for it.
Totally.
It's like a decompression.
Yeah.
That's what some other events have treated their Omega issue to be.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm like, no, this is just the next issue.
Exactly.
So, good stuff.
Good
stuff. Very excited.
All right.
Next. It's coming.
It's coming.
It's coming.
Well, I read Batman number 900 or
Did
135, and this is the culmination of the of Failsafe and whatever the hell they called this last arc. It's of course written by Chip Zdarsky with art by a number of artists, including Mikhail Yanin and Mike Hawthorne and more. Jorge Jimenez is working on it. Andriano Di Benedetto. Yeah, and the idea is that. What's it called? Halliday, the Red Mask / Joker proxy of the alternate reality. Remember when you had this great pitch where in Failsafe, the robot, there was this implication that maybe Batman was not actually in the multiverse, that maybe he was like in a tube somewhere, like living out the fantasy or the reality that failsafe like set up for him to keep him off the table.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's not it. Batman was really in the multiverse and he's really tumbling through time.
I was,
which is kind of disappointing that there wasn't the other thing, because this was more direct and a little bit more obvious. And so Batman needs to follow how. Oh, so Holiday's like, I saw a version of myself in the multiverse, and it was the Joker, and I'm like, Holiday's the Joker. Like, and I remember that they set that up originally, but I'm like, wait, but like, didn't. Like, Zdarsky's first page of this entire arc was the 3 Jokers, and I'm like, the guy who wrote 3 Jokers also wrote Flashpoint Beyond, which established the Joker's true identity, and it's not like it's the Joker from one of the other 2 Jokers. It's the Joker we all like from The Killing Joke. So,
yeah.
And his name ain't Holiday.
Right.
What is this? And the idea is just like, don't worry about it. Don't think about it. And I'm like, okay. And I'm starting to see where Chip Zdarsky's strengths are. I've always seen them.
Yes.
But I'm also seeing where his weaknesses are. And in this, his Batman is a blind spot for him, where he wants to write Batman and he wants to give us Batman.
Mm-hmm.
And this is very okay. This is a very okay issue. And it has been 2 very okay arcs. It's still less boring than Detective. Sure. Detective Comics by Ram V. I will give you this review for this entire series. It is different. It is groundbreaking compared to its predecessors. The covers are phenomenal, and it's one of the most boring runs on Batman I've ever read in my life. Like, it can be both of those things. This has not been boring.
Right.
But it has been predictable. And I'm not saying that I need my Batman to be unpredictable, but I am asking that my writers be smarter than me. So Batman needs to go through time to chase Holiday, because Holiday's like, the perfect pure version of me is the Joker, and I need to become the Joker. So he makes this multiversal machine that allows him to go into the mind of the Joker from the point of origin, so you can see how he can become the Joker truly become himself. And what he ends up doing is activating a power that he has, and it's not that he can become the Joker. He can never become the Joker. Instead, what he does is he creates Jokers throughout the multiverse. So when he activates a power to be the Joker, instead he conjures a Joker in each reality. And so throughout the multiverse, he's making Jokers. And so Batman's got to go through realities to chase after Holiday and stop him from making more Jokers. And so Batman has to go to like Batman Beyond and Batman 89 and Batman Dark Knight Returns and Batman blah, blah, blah.
There are Jokers there already.
Well, some of them died. Like Batman 89, the Joker died. Well, he's back. Like Batman Vampire.
But that's not making a Joker. That's resurrecting a Joker.
It's the same Joker, but it's the Joker of that reality. Like if I make a Joker in this reality, I will make this reality's Joker. So while it's not necessarily bringing that Joker back to life, it is essentially resurrecting. And because it's Holiday, the Joker is much more mean and terrible. So like in Batman 66 with Adam West, he makes a Joker that is much more vicious and less silly than the one that was played by Cesar Romero. That being said, it's still Cesar Romero's Joker. It's very flimsy, and we only spent about from 1/2 to 2 pages in each reality. So if you are asking me to explain in any way this premise any further than I already have, I have to warn you that there is no more explanation.
Is his power like fan fiction related, in which he's taking those Jokers and going, but what if I had written them?
No, it's just that they're more evil versions of the Joker that had already existed in that book.
Okay.
So like when
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, that's what it would be like.
Yeah, more or less.
Like that's not right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in my version, that's how it is.
Well, we don't even see them, unfortunately. Like they don't even do anything. It's Batman meeting Batman throughout the multiverse.
But doesn't that just wreck all these timelines?
No, because they're not really timelines. Remember, this is an infinite. It's an infinite multiverse now. So, like,
sorry, doesn't it just wreck these multiverses?
Who cares?
Like, hey, this is back. He's back now.
Does anybody really care?
Joker that broke his own neck is back.
Yeah,
walking around.
Yeah, that happened. So now, if they were to ever do a Dark Knight Returns 5. They could bring back the Joker, or they could ignore it, because who cares? Like, that's the thing. Who cares? You're supposed to have fun. Just whatever. Just look, it's Michael Keaton meeting real Batman. Look, Dark Knight Returns, Frank Miller Batman gets to interact with our Batman. Look, Kelly Jones came back to draw Batman Vampire. And that Joker's dead, but he's back now.
And he should be a vampire.
Yeah, and he is a vampire.
Well, okay, then that's fair. Then
I was like, ooh, that's a moment for Tiffany.
Using the Joker should be illegal.
I think it's high time, like, to stop. Like
he's a really iconic character.
Yeah, he's the most recognizable,
you're
most
taking
iconic.
Away everything that makes a story when he shows up special.
Yes, that's right. No, it is. Yeah, I think it's like, yeah, there should be punishments for it. It's like, oh, I've got a Joker story. Cool. You have 2 fewer issues to finish your story now.
It's like
there's another Joker book that's still going on. I mean, like, Jeff Lemire had that Joker book that nobody read that was like going on in Black Label at the same time as 2 other Joker books. It was like, it's enough. I understand, DC. I understand that things are dire and, like, or at least, like, you need to cough up some coin, but, like, it's time to wrap it up with the Joker.
But what will you do when everyone stops buying those 2 because they're tired of that? Because you
exhausted
him into the ground.
Yeah.
Because if instead of it being exciting and dangerous when he shows up, it's just like, all right, cool. What? Oh, now there's a whole bunch of Jokers.
Yeah.
All right, I guess that makes it more dangerous, but it's not because we got to get through it too fast. So who cares?
Just like, this past week.
When think about it. If you're telling me who cares, you're supposed to have fun with it, and we're talking about a Joker story,
right?
Like, there was a time frame when there was a time period in comics when that was a thing.
Yes,
because they were a little more not the level or like the type of comics that they are now, and so it was like, serialized or like, villain of the week kind of things. And it's like, sure, who cares? But as comics have progressed to become a little more, these longer arcs and everything's connected and we got to pay attention to the history, then like the Joker needs to be treated differently than that. He's like, or it's not like Tweedledee showed up and Tweedledum. Like,
well, but this would not be as epic. It's issue 900. Are we not going to do the Joker in issue 900? No. We're 100 issues away from 1,000.
No, you saved it for the
That's 100 issues though.
I feel like, no, you don't wait for, like, you don't do it for 900. You don't do it just because it's a number. You do it because the story's there.
Well, and the story was there. Like, Halliday was that multiversal Joker. Just last week, there were 3 books with Joker in them. There was the Deadly Duo, which just ended, the Joker, the Man Who Stopped Laughing, and the Batman issue. So there were 3 must-buy Batman books with the Joker in them, including, of course, his self-titled book. It felt a little hollow. And honestly, like, it wasn't even like you got to watch Batman and Batman fight the Joker. There was one moment where Batman fought the Joker, and it was the vampire Joker. Because, of course, what's funny is Halliday will resurrect or give you a Joker, but in Batman Vampire, Batman's dead.
Yeah.
So our Batman had to fight the resurrected vampire Joker. So that reality's just effed because there's no more Batman.
Bleh.
We also went to Gotham by Gaslight. Like, there's a lot of it was neat to see, and and of course he had that costume that was like a slipshod from the multiverse. Like, he was trapped in that reality where there was never a Batman, so he had to make a Batman costume out of garbage. And so, he did this thing where he's like, all right. Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention also that, like, the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh was this thing that was obviously long established, but Zdarsky brought it up in the Failsafe arc as, like, a way to he pulled it out as a way to potentially fight Failsafe, and it didn't work out. But it's like, and then he did this great, and Zdarsky wrote another Joker story in which the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh fought Joker, but that was a backup story. But the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh is this like concept where it's like Batman without Bruce Wayne, but because real Batman went to all those realities Batman also got a Zur-En-Arrh. So they all could be overwhelmed and taken over by the Zur-En-Arrh. And then at the end of the whole series, there's like a little splash of all the Batman that he visited, and there's Zur-En-Arrh counterparts who are all working together in some kind of team. So maybe that'll be set up. Who knows? But, like, I don't know. It's just there's not much there that makes me go, this is really cool. It's just more like a bunch of things that happened, which I'm supposed to like.
It feels like putting a fingerprint on it.
Yeah,
that's it.
But even then, it's not, because nothing about it is distinctly Zdarsky. Nothing about it says that that's Chip.
No, I'm not saying it like that. I'm saying, like, I put my mark on the universe.
Right now
there's a guy who makes Jokers.
Right, there's a guy who makes Jokers, And there's
a Joker and all these realities.
Well, and there's a Zur-En-Ah Batman Adam West, and there's a Zur-En-Ah Batman 89,
which is like,
and a
why?
Zur-En-Ah Batman Beyond, and
this isn't like
right. Well, but why?
To what end?
Yeah. Well,
I guess my question.
I mean, clearly he's building towards more because he has no intention.
Maybe he'll just undo it all and make it
why?
go
Why
away.
would you? But then why would that be a moment in Batman 900 to be like, wow, here's these Batman of Zur-En-Ah, only to go, well, and then they went away. That would be like doing a sequel to a beloved animated series and then having, and the thing that you love about it is the legacy of that protagonist, only to have that new protagonist who inherited many lives of the previous protagonists just cut off all of those other lives.
I don't think it's quite like that. I think it's more like saying like, oops, it was a dream, it didn't happen.
Well, I mean, this could easily have been a dream and it didn't happen, but it wasn't. Instead, Tim found him in the multiverse, like in that like TGIF.
I'm just like, I guess I'm just disappointed by the reliance of Chip on Joker.
Joker almost doesn't even like. Joker's presence is felt throughout the issue.
So why make it him?
Because Joker is the most important.
But it could be anything.
Right, but it wouldn't be. But it would be lame if it was Killer Croc. Like it was multiversal Crocs. Nobody cares. Like nobody would want to read that. And I got to get people to read this damn book.
It's Batman.
Yeah, but we also know what happens when we put Eisner Award-winning writers on that series who do whatever the hell they want for 100 issues. They don't get to 100 issues.
I just feel like you're diluting diluting the
DC is diluting the Joker brand wholesale, and Zdarsky is not inescapable for blame. The book was fine, and it was neat to see like real Batman meet like Batman Beyond.
Yeah.
And other characters.
Okay.
Oh, and because he had that suit, he needed like a new Batman suit, so like he has a put together. So, like Adam West Batman gives him his utility belt. Dark Knight Returns gives him his old blue suit. So it kind of works. It's a fun little suit. And I'm like, oh, will he wear that from the future? Probably not, but it's like a neat idea.
Okay.
And he needs it because when he gets to the end of time, like there's time sharks that attack him and he needs to take out the shark repellent because Beeper Leaper says, hey, Comic Pop, girlfriend and I participated on Free Comic Book Day and they had buy one, get one 50% off on trades and mangas. I didn't really need anything, but I got the girlfriend 2 mangas she wanted. Also, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was great. Have a good week and talk to you later. Thank you very much, Beeper.
Yay.
The Phoenix Jedi, love how the Guardians movies felt like comics to me. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 was just more of the first one, and Guardians of the Galaxy 3 felt more like the end of a comic run than a movie trilogy. Good. I mean, that's how it should feel. It should feel like the end of an arc.
Yeah.
Dazed Taze says, hey y'all, hope your Free Comic Book Day was good. Picked up World Tree and The Forge off of the recommendations of here, Gerald Tiffany's, and I'm enjoying them. Any thoughts on the announcement of the new Jay Garrick and Alan Scott series? No, I saw them, and again, I don't care about those characters, and there's very little they could do to get me to read them. Alacobi Broussard says, my local comic shop was closed on Free Comic Book Day. It doesn't get new books like ever. The most recent Batman back in 130. Is that normal? But the guy who runs it is real nice and always gives me a 20% discount on everything. That's nice. But also, what the hell?
Yeah, that's not quite normal.
That's nuts. That sounds like it's not even a comic book store. It's just it's a dude who somehow managed to trick a distributor into thinking his garage is a comic book store. And then he just I don't know, does not. That's
got to be something somewhere where someone operates a comic book store at their garage.
There is one. We've never been to it, but like I've seen it. I was like, this is someone's house. And then there was a review of it on Google that was like, this is someone's house. Don't go here. It's in this dude's basement.
But you know how like people may have like dental offices out of their homes? Like,
yes, I find that creepy too. I don't like that.
I don't find that creepy.
I do. I don't like it. This should be in a place, a business.
Isn't it nice to know that they're always there, ready to take care of your teeth?
Are they going to?
I don't know.
MN&M says, I don't usually read this book, but I picked up Shazam #1, and man, Dan Moore is as good as ever. Loved how his Shazam looks more in line with C.C. Beck's original version of the character. It's very Golden Agey. It sure is. I read Shazam #1 as well. It's written by Mark Waid with art by Dan Mora. It's good. It's fun. I don't know if I care enough about Shazam to read more of the series, but he also really doesn't care about Geoff Johns. He was like, all that's gone.
I like that Mark Waid is like, I'm hanging on to Dan Mora until they kick me off of DC books.
Well, and it's so smart to give Dan Mora Shazam.
Yeah.
Because like, Why else would I buy Shazam? I Am Awakeify says, Tiffany, thoughts on Ice Cream Man series?
I read the first issue and it really didn't connect with me, but I should probably give it another shake.
Maybe. Into the Beyond. Turns out for Comic Book Day, Mark Bagley was at a signing at a local comic book store. It was cool meeting him. He was nice. Also hyped for Conan after the Free Comic Book Day issue.
See, that's exactly it. Like you pick up those books you may not normally grab and you're like, give it a shot. Jim Zub's on that.
That's right. That's right. He is the architect of the comic version of Conan for that whole Chimerian universe. Daniel Hospitales says, what villain would you want to see Tom Holland Spider-Man go up against? The only caveat, you can't choose any villains already done in any of the films. Hobgoblin.
It's a good one.
Because I want the 80s era. I want Black Suit. I want Black Cat. I want Hobgoblin.
Yeah.
And Kingpin.
Hobgoblin would be awesome. I'd love to, because
yeah. Who would you like to see?
I'd also go Demo Goblin. Just because you'd be like, okay, what? I have to get my friend the wizard. Yeah. He's not my friend anymore.
No, he doesn't even know who I am.
I have to go, yeah, that's right.
No, he does. He's like, I remember you. We worked together to fight Thanos that one time. And I think I did something with you.
And he's like, yeah.
That's right. Come on. I got to fight a demon.
I
think. CTL or CT 16985. My daughter was born, and I get to watch my favorite comic couple talk about a good Marvel movie. I'd call that a good day.
Congratulations!
Congratulations to you. It's not Mazel Tov, but it is congratulations to you. That's fantastic.
Congratulations, and get sleep when you can.
That's right. Peach adding Night Terrors to my pull list. I'm glad we sold a thing of Night Terrors. That's nice. All right, cool. Joshua Mayhead, thank you very much for your super sticker.
You're very generous, super sticker.
Yes, very generous. Thank you. What does he say? You're amazing.
Yeah,
I like it a lot.
Adorable. I had it ready to go. I was like,
He's
no,
amazing.
it's too cute.
All right. Thomas Wolfenberger. Sal, did you read Spider-Man 2099 Dark Genesis? I grabbed on a whim. I love the art. I'm so lost on 2099, but New Carnage and She-Venom was a badass. Thoughts? I didn't read it, but I do have it. I don't care about 2099 anymore. After Time Storm and all the other things, I was like, they don't even know what the hell.
Time Storm.
Exactly. They don't even know what's going on with that universe. Bitter Spite. Have you read Everything Burns: The Death of Kid Loki by Matt Fraction and Kieran Gillen? No.
No.
We might have it though.
We gotta talk about this movie.
I know, but George McKay says, so you're saying Zdarsky ripped off Spider-Verse in Batman? Truncated, it's not as expansive, and there were no inheritors. It's just the Joker, which honestly I'd rather read another Joker story than read anything about the inheritors ever.
Okay,
that's not to mince words. The Space Cowboy. Did you guys check out the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Ninja Turtle #2? A fun read. No, and not for any reason other than I just didn't bother. There's a lot going on, but
all right,
yeah. So let's jump into it. It is time to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
There they are, from
James Gunn. This is a long time coming, and so our quick non-spoiler review of this story is it's excellent.
That's your whole review of your non-spoiler review?
No, we can jump into more. Like, as far as direction goes, Gunn got some fantastic performances out of literally everybody in the film. It's well written. It's tight. It manages to be its own story while completing a trilogy, while paying off the fact that the Guardians of the Galaxy literally appeared in and had important things happen to them in Avengers movies, and still manages to wrap up things while setting more things up. It builds more than it breaks, and it is a hell of a watch as well. Like, it's just it's a joyful experience just reading this book or watching this movie. Reading this book. Oops. But yeah, that's what I think about the movie. You?
Yeah. I feel like out of all of the MCU movies and trilogies, that this is the most consistent one.
Yeah.
The characters have had a chance to grow and change, and their adventures have affected who they are,
right?
And it's not like it hasn't been building, but a consistent feeling. Gunn just really nails that these are cohesive films, even if they're all narratively different.
Yes.
But it's still, it feels like they're one.
It does, yeah. Each character gets so much of an arc. Sometimes those arcs are more substantial than others, but everyone feels. I don't feel like anyone got left out, and I don't feel like anybody got shortchanged. And that also includes new characters and newcomers to the franchise. Most notably would be Iwuji, who played the High Evolutionary. And I guess, maybe Nathan Fillion playing that guy in that suit.
He just showed up.
No, it was just Nathan. Apparently they're friends.
Yeah.
He's in all of them, but to diminishing effect.
Sure.
But yeah, everybody gets something strong and meaty to do and to have in the story.
I'd also say that as much as I think I have to think more on it, to be honest. But a hallmark of Gunn's like filmmaking is the use of music, and I felt at times it felt a little hand-fisted.
A little. What was it was the last two, I think, needed to sell you on the music integration. Like, it was surprising. They didn't say
the first one had to sell you. The second one, I was like,
the second one you knew that it was coming, and the third one, it was like he went, well, here is all the music that is appropriate for this movie, and I'm not going to make any more, so here's a few more.
And if you, and that's what I was like, okay, fine. I also say if you haven't had the opportunity to see this yet, like, try to not go in thinking about people's involvements within the MCU anymore. Like, I was trying really hard. Like, I initially was like sitting there meta watching it in a way, like thinking like,
which one's gonna care? Which character's gonna die?
Yeah, like thinking to myself, like, okay, wait, like, I know this person doesn't really want to do this anymore, blah blah. I'm like, just enjoy the movie. Just enjoy the story. And eventually I got myself out of that. But try not. It's so hard. I know it's so hard because there's so much information out there.
Oh yeah.
Just go in and enjoy the film if you want to see it. But I do recommend that you go and see it because it definitely is well made. It's the same quality of filmmaking from the first and the second. It's just a different story.
Significant consistency, but strong. It wasn't like, man, this feels like the same filmmaker. I'm happy. It was no more. It was consistently good, and I think that Gunn is more comfortable. You can watch him grow more comfortable with the tools. There seems to be this weird formula that, like, Disney in particular is, for whatever reason, interested in doing. I think I tossed out a conspiracy theory about that. I don't really actually believe this, but the theory is that, because, like, why give Rian Johnson a Star Wars trilogy just out of the gate? Like, who is that? Why would you do that? Why would you call Edgar Wright to make an Ant-Man movie? All these different movies and franchises, they're like, get this new person. Like, someone's making there's some like brand new filmmaker making I don't remember which movie or TV show it is that's coming out, but it's from Marvel. It's like, I just looked at her IMDb. I'm like, you haven't done anything, or Chloe Zhao getting Eternals, and it's like, just all these different. And my conspiracy theory pitch was just like, they're like, no, we can't have them changing things, so let's give them an offer they can't refuse, and then burn them the hell out of this industry so we can keep making like McDonald's. I don't think that's true, but some creators and some directors really don't thrive in this environment. I think Taika Waititi burned out of out of this whole system. Like, I don't trust Waititi after Thor 4 to make a Thor movie, an Avengers movie, whereas originally after Thor Ragnarok, I think people were like, give him Guardians after Gunn leaves. Now it's like, oh, that's over. But Gunn seems to be one of the few who really responded to this experience in a way where he's able to tell like smaller, like, this is a small scale story. The story is, let's save our friend. That's the movie. Right? Which is pretty small scale when you consider that, like, Captain America Winter Soldier was about saving democracy in America. And, every Avengers movie is about saving the whole goddamn planet.
Right.
In this one, mild spoilers.
Wait. Oh, yeah. Okay.
They fail to save a planet. But it doesn't matter to them because that's not what's important.
Yeah.
But yeah, but my wrapping up my analogy / compliment to James Gunn is just like, he seems to be very comfortable making his movies. Like I'm more excited for him to make a Superman movie now, because he hasn't lost what he had that made him good at his job.
I was sad that he was leaving this, but at the same time, I was like, I feel like DC's probably pretty okay.
Yeah, okay.
Like I'm like that's good.
Yeah. Will Nathan Fillion probably play Perry White? Yeah, but like oh well.
I would also say that, you know, if you're going with your family, if you've got children, this movie does have a lot of animal cruelty in it.
Yes.
So just be prepared for that, or be prepared to have those conversations. If you're an animal lover, there's some scenes that are kind of rough.
Yes.
There's definitely some scenes that are rough. And right at the end, there's a nice little gore moment that's pretty well done.
It's very well done. And
well
also
done.
very, if you have
not spoiling anything.
No, but if you have if you have a small child who may be sensitive to that kind of gore, you know, shield their eyes.
You'll kind of feel it coming.
Yes.
You'd be like, whoop. But yeah, just as a heads up, I was
yeah, no, that's worth mentioning.
The animal stuff is
it's intense.
It's intense, and that's
especially for like a Marvel movie. You know what I mean?
Yes,
like it's
you think about it like that.
That's not what this. We don't normally use these movies to talk about that, and they don't. No one says like, and that's why you need to be careful and be kind to our animal brothers. No, it's like, it's so cruel that if you don't feel bad, like that, you're in the minority. So yeah, getting into spoiler territory, I suppose.
I guess we could jump into that.
Why not? Obviously this is it's funny how this ends up being Rocket's movie, while also allowing him to pretty much only be in a third of the movie, but the other 2/3 he's still in the movie, but he's not participating in the present plot. And it's like, that was the kind of filmmaking where I think I likened it originally when I was talking about it on another channel to Dungeons and Dragons, where people were like, oh my god, Dungeons and Dragons was so good, and I'm like, Dungeons and Dragons was not so good. Dungeons and Dragons was very well made for it being a competent studio special effects picture. And we're very bereft of that lately, where like we have Chekhov's gun and it goes off in the third act. We have characters set up with motivations and problems, and then it's paid off in the third act. Like, oh my god, it's just made by competent people. In this, it's like Rocket Raccoon is harmed in the beginning of the book, or at the beginning of the movie. And then he is off the table until the third act. But we also have him be the protagonist of his own story in flashbacks in the center of the picture, which is like so smart to allow this character to still be in as much screen time as Peter Quill, but he's not even in the damn story. It's brilliant. Like, I was like, and it's not brilliant. It's just really well made filmmaking. It's competent filmmaking, but it feels brilliant because like Marvel's been kind of lacking lately.
I agree. I totally agree.
So that's nice. And also, I've always loved Bradley Cooper as Rocket Raccoon. He's one of my favorite characters in this whole thing.
It's kind of amazing because, it is, I think it's always harder for actors to become voice actors. And like Cooper
especially because he's like such a gorgeous man, and I loved him from A-Team, and I'm just like, why? Like, okay, we're gonna hire Bradley Cooper, this beautiful, brilliant actor, to voice a raccoon,
and he's like, I love that.
Right? I can imagine he does, because he's like, I'm in my Homer Simpson pajamas, and I have a huge latte that is gonna last me the rest of this recording session, and then I'm gonna get the F out of here, and I'm gonna go be in something starring Lady Gaga. Like,
they have such charisma.
They do. Oh my god, you could have 100 people in the room, and 99 of them could say no, but all you need is one person. I'm just being Lady Gaga in every interview for that movie that she was in. I think The Star is Born. Yeah, anyway, moving on. Standouts for you in terms of actors? I think everybody gets a moment, if not 2 or 3 moments that really shine.
Yeah. Standouts for me, I gotta say, like, I really, she's doing a lot of the same things that's really easy to toss her to the side, but I really liked Mantis in this.
That you are so astute in your observation that Mantis is such an easy to ignore character. And it could be very easy to just meme her up. To make her into a side character that just is the healer to the party.
Listen, healers don't get love. But and we've seen that with her, but I appreciated that this all worked narratively, like her change, and a lot of this are character moments for all these characters, where all these characters get character moments. They get these intense moments. I don't want to say moments, try something else. These intense sort of scenes where they reveal
something vulnerable about
themselves, or something they know about someone else. And so it hits everybody hard,
right?
And I appreciate that. And I appreciate that this movie also did a nice job with Nebula.
Yes.
You know, she's
a completely different person from the first movie, which is
for
just
sure.
fantastic.
Yeah, she's definitely taken quite the Zuko level arc. But she's come out the side of this, and initially you think of it kind of like one notey for her, but by the end you're like, okay,
yeah,
you're there with her,
right?
You know, she's like team mom, but not.
Yeah.
Drax was fine.
Yeah, I think he did. You know, if despite all of Dave Bautista's bluster and protestations over this entire sphere, from guns firing to reinstatement to the movie being out, you know, he didn't seem terribly unhappy to be there when we were watching the movie.
No,
and that was really nice to see that separation between like the disgruntled Dave Bautista, who upon the last frame of movie being shot on him, he immediately jumped on a plane and flew to make another movie. It seemed like he was very comfortable being in the movie and playing his character and doing what he does best. I was very keenly aware, because of his complaints, that he considers himself to be like a clown that he doesn't want to be. I found that his clowning and jokes in this movie were certainly toned down or made into character moments versus Guardians 2. Guardians 2, he's much more of a joke, I think, than in Guardians 3.
Yes, but I think that they managed to also use the narrative structure and the last movie and the holiday special to allow them to put a little bit onto Mantis as well.
Right.
Because the holiday special, it's really like he and Mantis.
It's the two of them carrying it.
Yeah, and you know, they get to play off each other for humor there, but since she's there, she gets to shoulder some of it, which disarms you to the deeper sense of empathy and knowledge that she carries with her, which I kind of appreciate.
Totally.
And I do love that moment though, where she calls it where
they call him stupid.
Yeah, and then she just uses her abilities to protect him.
Yes.
And I'm like, that is so messed up.
It's so messed up, and
it also reveals how much she cares about him. Where she's like, no, I don't want you to
feel that bad.
Like, I don't want you to be ruined by my words.
And it's such a moment that you would expect in a non-James Gunn movie to be undone at some crucial point in the movie, to have him go like, I've never forgotten, I always remember, that doesn't work on me, or he suddenly remembers and he has changed. But James Gunn is never afraid to be like, if it would be people lie in real life, and sometimes they get away with it. And this is one of those times. And you know, he is saying something, I think, morally in the movie, where it's like, no, Mantis gets away with with protecting his feelings. And sometimes that's okay to like lie to the ones you love to protect how they feel. And certainly that's not what I'm saying from my heart, but I'm saying that's what the movie is saying. And I'm like,
or that's what she believes.
That's what she believes. And I'm like, I can't argue with that.
Yeah.
Because that's what the movie's trying to say. But yeah, it didn't even like really blow up. It wasn't like, but Mantis knows how he truly feels versus how he expresses himself. And it's like, that was a real moment that like really you wouldn't expect at this point, especially at that point during the narrative, but at this point in the franchise, to go, oh yeah, and also this aspect of his character.
Yeah. Rounding at the team, you know, Peter Quill.
Yeah, he's the protagonist of this whole franchise, and it's always been about him running from his guilt and grief.
Yeah.
And even when he spent 2 full Avengers movies on Earth, he never really acknowledged that he was there, and left as soon as, you know, galactically possible.
Yeah.
And to have that be carried through into this and then made into a growing point for him was satisfying.
Oh, absolutely. And I appreciate that while he is technically like the leader of this team and, you know, really has focused around him, you know, his character manages to get out of the way while still driving the plot.
Yes.
Like, he is progressing this, but it's not about him.
No, we don't need him to be in every scene, and we don't need him barking orders or trying to drive it in any, you know, more obvious or deliberate way. We feel that everyone's presence, or every character we're meant to feel, and what role they play in this.
Right. And this is the, like, you know, other than Gamora, which we can get to in a second, you know.
Oh shit, he wasn't on Earth Infinity War. I'm a freaking idiot. He wasn't on Earth in Infinity War.
No, it was Rocket who was.
It was Rocket who was on Earth. Yeah, I mentioned Peter.
Yeah. You're like, well, here come all the comments that will then have to be edited or deleted.
No, I genuinely just don't care. I was just pointing it out because I know it's if one person said it, 1,000 people are going to say it
in the comments and the after show. Well, that's fine, but damn it, now I forgot what I was saying. Oh, so aside from Gamora, all of the characters are all on board for this.
Yeah, there's no dissent,
which I really appreciate because it shows their growth as a team as well,
and like a family.
This Rocket is in danger. He's going to die. What are we going to do about that? We know we're going to do this. Everyone's on board.
Yeah.
And the only person who isn't is the person who doesn't have the memories of being on the team.
Who's not a part of the family anymore.
Right.
She died.
And I do appreciate having Gamora here. I do understand a couple of folks had mentioned that I saw at least a comment that mentioned that they thought they wish that she'd been able to progress her character arc, and I totally get that. However, I do like that we get to a return to Gamora, deadliest woman in the galaxy,
right?
Because I feel like she doesn't get to play that up as much.
No,
at the beginning of this,
she was that for like maybe a minute and a half in the first movie, but even then, she's still crying about Xandar. Like she never struck me, and the reality is, none of them are. Like none of them are the characters they are from the comics, and maybe in a few shining moments do they get to actually embody that character. They are their own versions of those characters in these movies. But as you were saying, Gamora, Zoe Saldana gets to play
a different
two versions of that character.
Yeah, and I thought that was kind of neat. And it was fun, and at the same time, I was very much not here for them rekindling their relationship. I actually,
and I don't think that was ever going to happen. I think
but like I was like, I appreciate this is here. This is the elephant in the room. They have to address this, but that's not what this is about.
Exactly.
And I really appreciated
that they didn't make it about that. Yeah. Well, like, apparently
we can't just have this movie and then not like it's the last one that Gunn's going to be filming. We can't just have her not be involved.
Yes.
Like everyone be like, where was she? What was she doing this whole time? So let's put her in.
But she is more or less a ghost in this. She's a ghost of who she was to them.
Yeah, I also appreciated we as like the viewing audience got to understand a little bit of where Nebula comes from,
right?
Just because of that, because of her treatment of her, because of her treatment of Quill early in this. It's like he's like, what the hell is this? He's like, that's how she always was.
Right.
You just never saw that.
Right.
And I'm like, that's kind of neat. We as the audience get a better appreciation for Nebula's past.
Yes, that's true.
She actually has a lot of connection in this with others. You know, like you clearly see her connection to Quill. We see her connection with her sister and that past. Like she is very much faced with that.
Yeah.
Something that presumably she's trying to move on from is now just thrust back into her face.
You could see her being in a lesser movie, her joining with Gamora and being like, all right, well, we're weapons bred for destruction. Let's join this team and kill people and take money, And it's like,
that would suck.
That's not what she is. Like she's like, I spent 5 years on Earth with a rocket. I've been an Avenger longer than the Hulk,
right?
Not the Hulk. I was gonna say somebody who snapped. Like I've been an Avenger longer than Black Panther, Spider-Man, or Winter Soldier. Like,
right. And even in those instances, she was dealing with the fact that it's like the guy who made me like this is the reason you're like that. Like she's faced with it every day. Yeah. So she gets to go to nowhere. They're rebuilding. She's doing something for the positive, and in walks Gamora, who is like stuck in time from like a time where she was a very different person. And then of course you have her connection with Rocket, where once she learns what happened to him,
right, she's immediately because she spent 5 years with Rocket, so it's like
they already had a connection.
The closest relationships are Peter and Rocket and Nebula and Rocket. But I also appreciate it because apparently, and this is just like hearsay because I don't have a direct source, but like the implication was that Yondu's death in Guardians 2 is supposed to belong to Gamora. So James Gunn has meant to kill Gamora since Guardians 2. And that like Gamora's death in Infinity War was an opportunity for Gunn to realize his vision of killing off Gamora originally. So that like, and I think that was, knowing that makes me think like, oh, so Peter's arc has always been, that he is running from his past. He finds what he thinks is the love of his life, and then she dies.
Right.
And then he has to, but he because even his relationships are him running. Like you know what I mean? So it's like, you need to face what you have run from. Gamora would never help him do that because she would just make him too happy and never, or think he's happy and never actually confront that past of his.
Yeah, Peter's arc is really that he has to face the fact that loss is inevitable.
Yes.
Regardless of it happening too soon for him, obviously.
Yeah.
But the loss is inevitable, and that you can't flee from it at all times, because you can't have relationships with people.
Exactly. So I think that's really strong, and I loved it. And
right, so, and that kind of comes full circle here, because he's like, all right, I got Gamora back. I'm going to make this work.
Yeah, I'm going to force it to work.
As that's happening, Rocket is being pulled away from him.
Yeah.
You know, it's like he's like, no, I just want everything. I want it all.
Yeah, and of course, like that's the there's a theme of change in this. Everyone in this whole movie has changed, including Groot, who's literally changed.
Yes.
So yeah, and how it is scary, and it might not be what you wanted, and it certainly isn't what you had, but maybe, well, even if it isn't better, it's still what is coming. It's still what's happening. And so, you know, as evidenced by our post-credit scene.
Right. And honestly, like, even like, listen, I think for a lot of people, Groot never got better than
the original Groot, or Baby Groot, or original Groot.
I don't know.
Because I like Gunn's description of Groot now is like, the first Groot was like more or less kept as a pet, and this is a Groot who was raised by a family. So like so he's going to be a very different kind of Groot. Sure. Also, you're seeing a Groot that basically, like, during his adolescence was inspired by a god named Thor, so maybe he wants to be bigger. But I loved the use of Groot and how, like, ready to kick ass he was, especially on the High Evolutionary ship.
Yes,
that was a great moment where he's like, yeah, let's kill everybody.
Yep.
I also loved the image of Groot in the post-credit scene, where I'm like, that's what I want to see more of. It's just like huge tree, white Groot from like the Tales to Astonish, or whatever his first appearance was. Also, you know, of course, and I think everyone's talked about it, but let's mention it here, the fact that, like, Groot's last words in this movie are us being welcomed into the family and being able to hear him.
Yeah, and like, because Gunn goes out of his way in this to make sure that we were reminded of that
by having
Gamora not be able to understand him, and like playing it up for laughs.
Yeah, but also it's story.
It's story where she's just like, you're just making stuff up.
Right.
You know, and then at the end, she understands it, and then we understand him.
Yes, like, we're the last member of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Or something. That was such a smart and subtle moment in a series of those in this movie, where people wear huge fat suits and bounce around in a living corpse.
But that's a hallmark of Gunn's storytelling. I feel like, especially with this series, and like, I don't expect this from his next movie that fit for this.
Yeah,
but that he disarms us.
Right. Yeah.
He disarms you with, you know, a distinct visual style, with humorous moments, with things that are like visuals that are beyond what you could imagine, because you are in space. You never know what's coming next. But then also at the core of it are these human emotions that we can all relate to.
Exactly.
And so, like, you're like, ha ha ha, oh my gosh.
Right. Yeah. But it's not used the way that Marvel kind of like learned it. You know, Marvel took that disarming humor in a sensitive emotional moment as a formula that they can use to keep audiences coming back, because they never have to feel anything, as opposed to these movies, which are all about feelings and very, very, like, you know, very in your face about, like, you need to face how you feel about XYZ, and hopefully I'll make you face that in the theme of this movie. The villains, High Evolutionary was one of the best Marvel movie villains they've ever had.
Unbelievable, because
he's such a crappy villain.
I meant, like, he's unbelievable because they definitely went a different way with him, where they're like, there is nothing about him
that's original, or
that you're going to feel bad for.
Right.
And I really appreciate that. Like, no, you're just a bad guy.
Right.
You're a bad guy who believes you're right.
Yeah.
Because you have a huge ego.
Right. But it's not like that kind of villain who, like, thinks he's the hero of his own story.
No.
Like, he's just like,
I'm better than you.
Right. Exactly.
I'm better than you in every way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, it was very refreshing.
Yes.
Because it just makes it's so easy to hate him.
Right. And it's okay. The movie gives you license to hate him.
Yeah, and it's not just because of the situation, the acting.
Yeah, no, his acting was phenomenal, and of course we loved him in Peacemaker. But like, he was
like,
great.
Transformed.
He's not the same character.
Not even remotely. Like, talk about range.
Yes, and he plays it in a way that reminded me. It's funny. Somebody was comparing Spider-Man in the movies. You know, Toby, Andrew, Tom, and both Toby and Tom. You could just add quips to his performances, because there's nothing about their physical performances in the suit that demonstrate any range or difference it's either like, and Tom allows it to be whatever they want because like his suit is completely overlaid with CG, so they can make him do whatever they want. But with Toby, he was like, I don't know, I have a bad back, so I'm not going to do a lot of flips and crunch. But you watch the like movement of Andrew Garfield in that suit. He really like, you can see it's him in there.
Yeah.
And he really like, he feels those moments. It's especially vivid in Amazing Spider-Man 2 when he's dealing with Gwen and they have that beautiful chemistry between the two characters, but one's wearing a full ass bodysuit. You can't see anything. And she's like, I'm going to go into this room against these villains. Yeah. And his physicality is just all on display. That is exactly what I was thinking of in High Evolutionary, where like most of the villains, Ronan the Accuser, Obadiah Stane, even Thanos to some degree, is just kind of like, I'm the bad guy. Ultron's a lot of stiffness.
Yeah.
Not, despite the fact that he's a robot, but like Ultron, Thanos, every Thor villain has always just been like standing there.
Yeah.
This High Evolutionary, he crouches down and looks like at his foes in the face. Like he's very like movement based. And I think that is a tip of the hat to both the actor and the director.
Yeah.
And watching a genuine trust in the director and in the actor, where like, this actor is unafraid to be viewed as evil or silly.
Yeah.
He's just like, I trust that you want this from me.
Yeah.
And the director knows what to get out of him.
Yeah. He did not to make a joke out of it, but he explored the space.
He did. He explored every space he was in.
He did, but he does so in a way that like he's imposing on the sequence without being like Thanos huge or whatever.
Right, exactly.
I mean? Like,
and Thanos, his physicality is actually it's indicative of his character.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Thanos is like, I don't have to. He's very much like Vader, and it's like, if you see Vader running, you've messed up doing Vader on screen.
Yeah.
Vader doesn't run.
No.
The stormtroopers run.
Yeah.
He follows.
Or he walks quickly.
But like he power walks. But like Thanos doesn't run. He doesn't like crouch unless he's being condescending.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's just like, I don't have to run. I'm better than you.
Yeah.
High Evolutionary is just all over the screen. And I love that also because it means that they had to have sets in order for him to play in.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like they were like, oh, you got to fit in this box. Otherwise you get off the screen. The effects in this movie, again, it's one of those things where it's like, they were not the greatest effects I've ever seen in a movie. They were exactly what they needed to be in this movie.
Yeah.
They were so competently demonstrated. I was just like, bravo! I wasn't immediately torn out of a sequence because of how horrible it looked.
Right.
What? Like, and I don't want to do apples to apples, but like Quantumania looks like effing garbage compared to this movie because of just like and really, you know what it is? It's not even the CG. I bet it's the exact same. I bet it's the same studios working on them.
Yeah.
It's just the story. It's just, I couldn't give a fuck about what's going on in Ant-Man 3 at any given moment, or what's happening to anyone in those movies.
Right.
And this one, it's like, but also the creativity involved in those sets.
It does help there. I just want to circle back.
Please do. Yeah.
To High Evolutionary.
Yeah. Let's give him more time.
Yeah. I'd like to explore the space a little myself here. No, but I really appreciated that. You know what? Like with some of the villains that we've seen, not that they're not great, and I know what you're gonna say. Yeah. Do you?
I think so.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Well, you go ahead and let's see if I'm right.
But like, with Thanos, like, oh, he's always like 6 steps ahead of everybody at all times. He's like, playing chess, blah 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 blah. Like he's driven by this.
Yeah.
Other villains the same thing. It's like they're driven by this, whatever. Right? High Evolutionary, he's driven by something.
Mm-hmm.
But like he's all consumed by it.
Yes.
And I don't believe at any point in time that I thought to myself, like, wait, is he a step ahead of them? I don't really know. Is he just acting on raw emotion?
Yeah.
Because he's like having a hissy fit.
Mm-hmm.
And I really appreciate it because he really brought that across, because he comes across initially as like I'm really smart, but we quickly see that break down.
Yes.
When Rocket is able to figure something out.
Totally.
And from there on out, I'm like, oh my God, no, you're just a guy who is smart,
right?
Got a bunch of power,
mm-hmm.
and now you just want what you want.
Exactly.
And I really like that. I like that characterization for him.
Mm-hmm.
Like he kills most of his staff.
Yes. Just out of pure frustration,
because he's just like, well, they try to take over.
Yeah,
and
exactly. He's like, no.
He's like, I buy that. They're like, okay, mutiny.
Mm-hmm.
The captain has been is
threatened,
is unable to make decisions for us any longer, so we're going to take control. And he's like, no.
Yeah.
Regardless of if you're correct,
right?
I would rather burn it all down.
Yeah.
I'd rather burn it all down and not get what I want the way I want.
Exactly.
And
That is such a real human being kind of thing to do.
100%.
I thought you were going to say that,
and I like that he's called the High Evolutionary. Like, so you're thinking to yourself, like, he should be beyond all of this,
right? And he's just
he's
not.
Just not.
No, his ego maybe, but
like, all he wants is to create these things that are the next level, right?
But like,
and he
even
finally
then,
does.
Yeah,
he makes
he
one.
does. Yeah.
And he's like, and it got away from me. So you're like, oh, he wants it in order to make more. And he's like, no, I need what you have.
Right, exactly.
You're smarter than me. And I don't like that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm acting over, like, oh yeah, I want to make the perfect society, blah, blah, blah. No.
Clearly doesn't.
I just want to make a bunch of things underneath me to make me feel better.
Exactly.
And I just, like, it's carrot all the way through the theming.
F. No, agreed. I thought you were going to say that his, most of the villains we get, like, I want to own the company. I want to eradicate half of the galaxy.
Right.
I want to destroy Xandar.
Yeah.
I want to kill Asgard. This is, I need a raccoon.
I need a raccoon.
I need a raccoon because I'm such a piece of shit. Like, it's just like, it's so refreshing.
Yeah.
And I would love to see that carried over to Doctor Doom, please. Just the idea of this guy being like, why am I the monarch of this place? Because there was this dude at college who was smarter than me.
Yeah,
really
ego and narcissism needs to carry him aloft.
Yeah, please. Like, I'm almost sad that he's wasted on the High Evolutionary. I'm like, oh, I guess you could have been Doom, and that would have been great.
Yeah.
Oh well. Yeah. Don't screw up Doom, please. And that gets to the elephant in the room a little bit for me, which I'll just if it's going anywhere, we'll see. But otherwise, I'm just gonna like touch upon it now.
Sure.
Which is that, like, this is the best Marvel movie made since Spider-Man.
I thought we were going with a different elephant. Okay.
But it's not a Marvel movie. It's a James Gunn movie, and it is in no way indicative of the like quality over quantity issue.
But, like, I think that it's okay to look at this and, like, because I know there's a lot of like this or that. Like, I like this, so I can't like that, or like, I'm a fan of this, so therefore I have to hate that.
Right.
Sort of mentality. Like, I'm on one side of comic books, or I'm on the other side. Like, I can't just enjoy the stories as they come out. And as much as I do want, like, it felt nice when we were in strong phases for Marvel.
Yes.
But I also accept the fact that maybe we're coming out of it on the other side, and that's okay.
Oh yeah, no, I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that.
But I want them to be good.
No, I do want them to be good, but I'm also okay with maybe just taking them story by story.
That'd be fine.
And this being less entrenched in being part of a phase or a kickoff for a phase.
Yes.
And instead being entrenched in being the third of its own series.
Right.
And being a strong finish and a strong connection to those other two movies.
Mm-hmm.
I know. That's how I want to think about it.
Well, because the thing that is so phenomenal about the MCU overall is that it is an umbrella of franchises. Like, Captain America is a film trilogy. Thor is a film quadrilogy.
Yeah.
Like, Ant-Man is a trilogy. Like, these are all franchises in their own right.
Right.
And yet, like, Ant-Man failed to be an Ant-Man third Ant-Man movie. Ant-Man and the Wasp is a sequel to Ant-Man. Like, it's a real Ant-Man movie.
It doesn't feel quite the same. Like, none of them have felt this sort of like
Captain America closest too, but even Captain America Civil War is just Avengers 2.5.
And it's hard to do that too, because the first Captain America was so drastically different. It's a totally different time.
It's just made by the Rocketeer, and it's just like, no, it's so different. But like, so too are they all. Like, Iron Man is different from Thor, is different from Cap, which is great, because like, that's what they should be. They should all feel tonally different but still work. That's what will, and I don't mean that James Gunn's gonna do this. I just mean it will.
Yeah.
If it works at all, carry the DC cinematic universe. Is that you are like, oh, we're making a Batman movie. Well, obviously, the guy who makes the Batman movie, or lady who makes the Batman movie, will be so tonally different in aesthetic and look and feel and cinematography from a Superman movie. Right. And yet they will still exist in their own universe, but we're watching Batman's story.
Right. Or, I mean, like, I guess if you could do that either way. You could pick the director first. You could be like, this is the story we want to do.
Yeah.
Let's find the person that can make that happen.
Totally.
I thought the elephant in the room you were going to talk about, though, was Adam Warlock.
Adam Warlock is one of those things where, like, James Gunn has talked about, and I only say that because I remember him complaining about it, like, that he really, really wanted Adam Warlock to be in these movies. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, wow. And all I could think about at some point or another in this movie was, wow, if you did, why didn't you use him? And then it's like, and there's been a lot of discourse online, especially from like Rob from Comics Explained and so forth, where It's like, this is what Adam Warlock was when he was first invented. Like, he wasn't always the Jim Starlin stoic ruler of the infinity of the soul gem. You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't always Space Jesus. He became that later. And that's and it seems like that was where that actor was going in the post-credit scene, where it's like, oh, now he's a little bit more like calm. That would be Will Poulter, a little bit more calm, and he's like, okay, like he's
a child.
He's a child. I'm okay. I was okay with him because I didn't want. I don't give a flying F about Adam Warlock.
Yeah.
Number two, if I'm gonna get Adam Warlock, I mean, I would prefer him fight Thanos and be in a Jim Starlin-esque like head drama about that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna do Adam Warlock in this, he better be tonally consistent with what this movie and this story and these characters are trying to accomplish, and he does.
Yeah, and since no one else is truly who they are in the comics, it would make sense that they would
deviate.
Yeah,
but even then, they still used elements from the comics to explain who this character is and what he's all about. And I'm like, yeah, it's fine. I didn't. At no point was I like, this sucks. At no point was I like, he's the Jar Jar Binks of the Guardians franchise.
No, I was only thinking of people who were fans of it.
I can imagine people being disappointed if they were expecting like Soul World Adam Warlock.
Right.
They also, it's funny to me, it's just like Vision and Adam, and it's like Vision never had an infinity gem in his head, but Adam does, but both of them have gems in their heads, and neither of them have the right one. And it's like, man, like, you know, it would have been cool, and I would have been very okay if it was the soul gem. If they were like, where'd you get that?
Right.
You know, and that would be like a story for another time. But like, I think they'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
And I was disappointed that it's just like, who cares? And they were like, they went, no, it's not about that. And I'm like, listen, I'm glad it wasn't about that.
Even there.
It's kind of amazing.
Like, you like,
right. Come on, guys. Pip the Troll, Adam Warlock, and Gamora are alive, and they are here. And if they kill off Drax and get another actor, you'll get like the real Drax the Destroyer. And listen, you'll get an Infinity Watch movie one day.
Let's talk about what you just said there, kill off Drax, because that was what I mentioned earlier, was that I was initially sort of meta watching this, knowing that Dave Bautista was kind of done with this universe.
Yes, and it's like, if you got to kill somebody off.
Right, that some of these actors maybe didn't want to pursue this. A lot of them were friendly with Gunn, and maybe they want to switch pawns and go over to the DC side of it. So let's be honest, I was watching this a lot of times going, oh my God, this is when he's going to die.
Yeah.
Because clearly they're going to want to get rid of these characters.
Right.
Which I adore that didn't happen.
No,
I absolutely adore that. And I adore the fact that like you get this sort of security blanket, because they've got those like part of like what happens with Rocket. Rocket is injured. They put that med belt on him.
Yep, which Iron Man could have used.
For sure. But you know, seemingly that they, you know, it's space magic technology, right?
Yeah.
So like those are there at all turns. We see them used quite a bit throughout
in this movie.
So
like maybe they invented them after Endgame,
right? But here's what I'm not even talking about in the past.
I know.
But I'm thinking that for them, what it does is it reminds you that just watch the movie. Because I'm like, honestly, at any point in time, Gunn could pull the rug out from underneath us with one of these things. You're not near it. You're, you know, the injuries beyond.
Right. Well, Drax gets blown, like it looks like he gets a hole blown in his chest, and you're like, oh my God, he's gonna die. And then
Drax
you're like,
the Destroyer.
Exactly.
And I'm like, right, you know, you get different physiology, and also we have these things,
these med things.
But I really appreciated that, because like I'm still over here thinking like they're gonna die, and Gunn's like, no.
Right. No one's going to die except maybe Rocket.
The only one you're supposed to care about is Rocket.
Right. Stop worrying about the rest of them.
And if I choose to pull that rug out from underneath you, I want it to be like it comes out, like it hits you in the face.
Exactly.
Like if we're relying on this magic tech stuff to save everyone, and then we're in a situation where that doesn't work, you're going to feel it. Because you're going to be like, oh, they'll just use the thing.
Exactly.
Oh, wait, they can't?
Right. The only thing that was a problem is that Peter Quill does not have a space mask, because it's been a plot point in 2 movies now, and it's weird that he
James Gunn already addressed that on
Did
Twitter.
They? Okay, I didn't see that.
Excuse me.
Please address it, because
he says, according to him, he's like, Quill had to get the hell out of nowhere real fast. He left it in a drawer.
He left it in a drawer. Oh, I see. So he didn't think of it. Okay. Because then the thing is, like, and normally I wouldn't be splitting hairs, but it was literally a plot point that he uses it in 2 different movies.
He tweeted about that. He's just like, clearly he had to leave in a hurry. He wasn't thinking about it.
Yeah.
He wasn't on the ship.
Fine.
I do buy that though. But
it's like nanotech. He keeps it in his ear. He just taps it, and he doesn't have to do that anymore.
Don't forget, he was in a bad way.
Right, that's true. But it does give you a moment where you're thinking, oh my God, are they going to kill off Quill at this movie?
Maybe he gave it to Kevin Bacon.
Right. Maybe he gave it to Kevin Bacon. Maybe he gave it to Gamora or something. But like, you're like, oh my god, I think maybe they're gonna kill off Quill in this movie.
Yeah,
because he's reached his arc. You could kill all of them because they've all reached the end of their story.
That's what was really making me nervous. Is they were really wrapping things up and not in a way that was rushed.
No, you're just like, oh no,
I'm like, oh no,
still have 20 minutes.
Yeah, I'm like, too many characters are
still alive.
Yeah, and
happy
and are like having self-realization.
Yes, they're all coming to cathartic conclusions about
like
themselves.
Drax, is called an idiot, and that's taken away from him, and then he proves himself to them without knowing that he needs to.
Right.
I kind of appreciate it.
That's nice.
I like that. And I'm like, oh my god, now he's gonna go.
Yeah. Now we'll kill him.
And they're like,
no.
Yeah. I thought, honestly, there was a minute I was like, what if they get rid of Nebula?
Right. They could. I didn't really have any concern about Nebula's death. But certainly, I was like, maybe they'll kill Mantis for laughs when they go into the room with the monsters.
There was one moment when she was tied to the ship. I'm like, she would.
Yeah.
She would give a message of thanks for letting me actually have a family.
Exactly.
Like, this is fine.
Yeah. Oh, and Cosmo's great too.
Yeah. I actually thought Cosmo was going to die too.
Yeah, me too.
I was like, no.
Yeah, when she's trying to keep the telekinetic connection.
Yeah, because Kraglin redeemed her too by calling her a good dog. I'm
yes.
like, oh no.
No, they're going to kill the dog.
That would have
been really horribly sad. Kraglin gets an arc too, but who cares?
Kraglin gets an arc. Additionally, we don't only have Cosmo as an animal presence, but we have Lila, Teef,
and Floor.
Yep. And all of that was horrible.
So they can make a We 3 movie now.
Please don't. That was rough.
All of that was rough.
Was very rough.
Yeah, but it didn't feel exploitative. It was just well made.
It wasn't exploitative because I completely bought that this guy would do all of these things.
Yeah.
And all of it was very accidental, and it just further gives you an understanding of Rocket's character.
Exactly.
And High Evolutionary's character.
Totally.
Just
yeah, no. Really quick, let's just submit a couple super chats because people had things to say about this movie.
I also saw someone mention they were like, I would be really, if I were Nebula, I would be weird around being Mantis's friend. Well, she doesn't have to worry about that because Mantis left at the end.
Exactly.
And I believe that part of the reason that she did that is she's like, I don't want to have to keep doing that.
Right.
I don't know who I am as a person. I'm a people pleaser, and I don't want to hurt people. And I did end up hurting him, and so I took it away because I just I have been bred and been existing to make others happy. I need to leave.
That's true.
And so if you're upset about that, think of it as Mantis probably recognizes it as well and is going off to find herself.
Right? Maybe she'll find Swordsman, and because he was introduced on the Hawkeye show.
Before I forget.
Yeah.
Before I forget. Can I just say how excited I was that little girl at the end's name was Phyla?
Oh my god.
I was like, they're doing my thing.
Yeah, they're doing it.
Probably not. I don't care.
They gotta find Moondragon later.
I don't care if she never becomes Quasar. I'm like, you're Quasar in my heart.
Yeah, she's Quasar. She had something on her wrists. I don't know if it was.
I don't know.
Rounds,
I
like her. I like her music picks. She was like Britney Spears and Korn. I was like, lol.
I don't know who this kid is, but
she's fun.
Yep.
Adam Thenhouse says, Rocket crying over Groot in the first one hits a lot harder after watching Volume 3. I'm sad that some of these folks are done with their characters for a while. Keep them lights on. That's true.
I had the same thought.
Yeah.
Especially when Groot was sitting by his bed, like he's on the ship protecting him, and he's just sitting by him. And I'm like, oh yeah, their connection is really strong. You kind of forget about it sometimes, especially when he was younger.
Yeah.
But watching Rocket lose everything.
Yeah.
And then having that twig. Oh, that's gonna hit harder now. This is weird because this is a trilogy that'll actually make the other movies mean more.
Yep.
Kind of like
fantastic.
They should all do it.
Yeah. You'll notice that when Ego is sending all those blobs and all the different planets, and one of them's Earth, the car that almost gets eaten is Grandpa's car. Oh. Grandpa Quill's in there with the African American girl who was in this movie as well. Oh. Yeah. Robert Ahern says, hopefully Volume 3 is reminding a lot of people what the MCU can be at its best, and they might be less accepting of weaker efforts going forward. Also, probably the best comic book movie trilogy. Probably, which is kind of fun to say. But yeah, I agree with that. I hope it holds their feet to the fire, because they're going to be like, Marvel's going to be in a weird position. Right now, they got a great breath. Another reprieve to reassess, like COVID itself, where they got the writer's strike. They can go okay, let's reassess.
Well, yeah.
How many times do we rewrite Blade?
And right now people are feeling good about something you just made.
Yeah.
And regardless of the fact that the guy who made it is leaving,
and that's big. No, they should think about that. Where it's
should.
like, he's gone. We've got to up our quality.
But they should also recognize that it's like, this is not a fallout of people are done with superhero movies. They're just done with not good movies.
Yeah. Yeah. Marvel's is really going to be the big test for Marvel as to whether they can do it on their own. George McKay. Sal, if you were Nathan Fillion in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, who from ComicPop would be your I got one of those guys? Nobody. I'm one of those guys. I'm one of those guys. Nikki T, how heartbreaking was it that Baby Rocket's first words were hurt as he was shaking in his cage? It was the very, let's just put it that way. Very. Moon Knight 32, my kids and I saw Guardians 3 and all cried over Rocket. The next day we found 2 baby raccoons in our yard with no mother. They aren't as wisecracking, but we are enjoying being their surrogate father until we can home them. Oh, that's great, man.
Wow.
That's so great. Congratulations on that. Yeah, if ever you were going to have to do that, it would be great to do it after Guardians 3. We're like, oh, we have to do this. We have to protect these animals.
Yes.
Nikki T returns to say, saw an interview with Chukwudi who says, where he talks his performance, he says his approach was he believes everything he says and he runs with it.
Yes, and it comes across through and through. That's what I'm saying. Like, dude has got some range.
Big time. Drew Pittman, I loved this movie and it makes me more invested in James Gunn's Superman. I hope it does. I hope it, like, a lot of folk are really down on Superman because they're like, does James Gunn have the chops to be able to make that kind of movie work? And also, like, maybe I'm tired of, or maybe I love Man of Steel, and it's like, maybe this movie making you cry will make you want to enjoy a Superman movie.
Or maybe hopefully what it is it instills in people that James Gunn knows how to make a movie that fits the property he's working with.
Absolutely. Ray Farr, spoilers. I know they're animals, but I'm already being emotionally manipulated. But Teefs, Lila, and Floor were perfectly tragic characters. I cried. Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
No, it was super sad.
No, like each of these characters had to lose their family to find this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really great observation.
Keep going.
Raj Patel cried 3 times during the movie. I can't think of a better way this movie could have been done. Yeah. Ray Farr, also, holy crap, the High Evolutionary was a fantastic villain, easily my favorite in recent Cape flicks, except for Defoe's Gabi, obviously. Yeah, Defoe got another shot.
Yeah,
like Zoe Saldana, he got another chance.
Yep, playing it different,
much better.
Yeah.
Shock Vox, sure, it's been mentioned, but I love how the movie managed to do what it did without killing any of the Guardians.
Yes,
we're so used to asking who's gonna die, like it's only way to show stakes. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it actually showed like strength, but to be like, no, why should they die? They won't be able to enjoy the fruits of their efforts. Like, it'll be really hard for them if it's, to learn from this experience if they die from it. Ray Farr, the Guardians trilogy and the Daredevil series are my favorite things out of the MCU, and it's because the people who making it care. Yeah.
Caring helps.
Yeah, giving a crap about the source material, or at least about the material you're working with, is really important to
We
that.
didn't mention it, but how like satisfying was it when he said Rocket Raccoon?
Oh my god. Yeah, and it's so great because like through the whole Trinity, through all of them, he's like, I'm not a raccoon, and it's like faced with obvious, truth that he is a raccoon, even to the point of living on Earth for 5 years and clearly knowing what a raccoon is.
Yeah,
but it isn't until after he accepts who he is and he moves on with his life that he's like, this is who I am, and having him like embrace the name and actually go by that moniker was great.
Yeah.
Also, if you look at the miniseries for Rocket Raccoon, you'll see that Teefs and Floor are in that. They're on the cover or something. It's fun. Overall, final thoughts on Guardians 3. I think it was the strongest showing from Marvel in a long time. But also,
and I could go on talking about this one. This one has been living in my brain since we saw it.
Yeah.
Like I've been thinking about this movie. It didn't hurt that one of my favorite artists had a song in it at the end.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Florence and the Machine, Showing Strong. Apparently that hit her hard. Like she cried throughout a lot of the movie, but that like hit her hard because like she likes superhero movies.
Oh, cool.
And so to have her song be at the end when like the movie
at
is
the
about
cathartic.
Yeah, because like this movie, you could almost see this partway through as like a like where sequels tend to be like they end on like a downer.
Yeah,
and like that's kind of where this movie was going for a while. But it's a real joy. Like there is a lot of joy and there's a lot of happiness, even if at the end of the day the family breaks up. And I wish it hadn't, but I think what it what this movie's message is, not only about family, but the strength of a found family, and that, you know, a found family can always change. And just because you say goodbye to someone doesn't mean that they're gone forever.
That's true.
You know, like, doesn't mean that Quill can't come back, but that Rocket has others in his life as well now, and like he can continue to grow his family without fear.
That was the other thing, the ending where the post-credit sequence where they say this, the legendary Star-Lord will return. I was like, okay, I was hoping, I feel like he doesn't need to, because we got his conclusion. I was more excited to see, like, I guess that, you know, them kind of confirming that the Guardians will return, like Rocket's Guardians. But
I'm sure they will. I think they were just saying that, like,
don't,
Chris Pratt's not done.
Chris Pratt's not leaving.
And
I like that. And but I also had that moment where they did the same thing in Thor 4, where they said, like, Thor will return, and Chris Hemsworth did not have conversations with them, so he just saw that when he saw the screening, and he's like, he is.
Oh, excuse me?
And they were like, oh yeah, no, we put that in there, just, you know, but like, I guess we'll have to work that out. He's like, well, my contract is a lot more you know, negotiation power, since it says I'm coming back. Well, am I? Because you better pay through the ass. Because that last experience was really rough.
Well, I of course I would love to see another one with all of them. I would love to see
but I don't want them to. I don't. I'm good.
I'd like to have them check in. I would like Mantis to come back. I like her dynamic.
Oh, I want to see those characters, but I don't want to see them all come back together. I don't want to see the Guardians in that form again.
Get the band back there. That's what you call it.
I don't think so.
Guardians of the Galaxy 4, get the band back.
They better get a damn good director to do it. But I think
I agree.
I don't want to see that.
No, I definitely agree with that.
Because then it'll just make it sad.
Yeah,
then they will
need that strength for sure. But yeah, no, the ending of this was great. I actually even for some reason the Drax Nebula moment really hit me like pretty hard for some reason. That really stuck with me. And I think it's just because those characters don't necessarily strike me as having a lot of interaction or a lot of strong interaction. You know, she doesn't really seem to have a lot of respect for him. And he doesn't care. Like, he's just like, yeah, you're here, you're like my friend, whatever. But for her to recognize who he is, having missed all of the stuff that we know about Drax, about like from the first movie. You know, like for her to see him in like, you know, beyond being the destroyer. Like that, I don't know, that was really, it was just, the end of it made me feel better than I thought it would, even though nothing would ever be the same. Like it's the kind of change that makes you excited instead of just sad.
That's true.
You know, I don't know. That was neat.
That was neat. Erwin Rosales says, love the movie so much. Did anyone feel that James Gunn was testing some Swamp Thing movies or vibes when Groot grows wings? Not really. I didn't think about anything DC related.
Oh, also, you know, there was an F-bomb in this. There was a conversation about that on the internet where they were like, you know, you can take.
Does this change everything?
Well, no, I was gonna say there was like a quote that had come out that Feige
had a chat with James Gunn about it.
Said, like, you don't want to be the first person to drop an F-bomb in the MCU. And like, you're reading text, so it's really hard
you don't
to
get
tell.
The inflection.
Like, I like to think it was like,
come on,
you don't want to do that. All right, fine. And it's fine. I love it. I actually I thought it was well placed.
It was.
It's inconsequential, but it is 100% a human thing to do. I use that word like that all the time.
Same. And I remember that car. Like I know that door. It is an annoying door, and it's hard to explain, and it's really funny. And
it's just,
I love that it's a car that he would remember because it's before the 80s. Like,
right, but he can't really drive it. But you know, he's in an emotional state of distress. Time is a factor.
And that door thing is a thing that we can all relate to.
Yes. So I appreciated that too. Someone mentioned, like, I don't know if you saw this. I'm sure you did. Maybe you showed it to me, that the TikTok of Karen Gillan holding
the body. Yes, I've heard so much about the body. Like,
but did you see the video of her like being like, like,
oh no,
it's gross. It's weird.
I did not
hold
see
it.
that.
It's like 35 pounds.
Right. That's awesome.
Like, he's seeing it too. They're like, whoa. They're like,
yeah.
I gotta tell you this. I don't know if this is just like, you know, Chris Pratt doing his like, I'm in Hollywood thing, but they're like, yeah, Chris, remember we did that scan? And he's like, oh yeah. Hey man, how are you? I remember you. I remember you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know.
It's nice. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, the body stories are hilarious. The interactions between each other, Cuckleberry Finn, and so forth. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah. So it was good. It was a positive experience. It's an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah,
legitimately. Like it is sad and it is heartbreaking. It's going to, you know, take everything you know about these characters and not contest it or anything, but it's going to be like, listen, this is where they are at, and this is kind of the end of their stories. It could be forever.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you feel okay with it.
Exactly.
You know, it is like simultaneously super stressful and not.
Yeah.
So high recommend.
Big time. Blue Baba says that post-credit scene with Quill was so funny because I've had the exact conversations like that about people.
I liked it because it was so not anything.
Yeah.
The post-credit scenes don't really set anything up. I appreciated it. They're just what post-credits should be.
Exactly.
Fun.
Yep. Let's recommend some comics that are coming out this week that we think you should check out.
Let us do that.
Daredevil 11 comes out. Check that out, obviously. And I'm going to read at least the first issue of Green Lantern #1 from the Dawn of DC, just because it's a #1, and we'll see what happens there. The 6th issue of Danger Street is coming out. This is the one with that amazing Fruit Loops cover with Darkseid. I'm obviously going to pick that up. I'm not high on this book, but I also stopped reading it after issue 3, so we'll see what happens, because I know this is a good book. I'm just like, I need to read it all at once, I think, rather than once every month, because I just don't think it's leading to that. But yeah.
Saga number 64 is coming out, so I don't know, maybe I'll pick that up. Wolverine number 33 will be arriving, so if you're looking for more Beast going at, or Wolverine going after Beast, that's the book for you. X-Men Red returns, so I'm sure they'll be dealing a little bit at the very least with some of the Sins of Sinister fallout, especially with Storm's involvement with Krakoa and Arakko. So we'll check that out. Ghost Rider number 14.
This is probably the end of the Catch arc. We'll see.
It hasn't even started.
Yeah.
Oh, Rogue and Gambit number 3 is coming out as well. It's a series I'm like a little lukewarm on, but I can't help myself. I'm going to pick that up. Talking about really great covers. For some reason, I love this. First of all, I love Phantom Road. It is a high recommend for me. It is a Jeff Lemire book. Really digging the first 2 issues of this, and I don't know why this cover. I love it. I freaking love this. I would like this in physical.
Okay.
But yeah, really loving this book so far. It really satisfies my horror itch. And I don't know what else I might be recommending. Am I missing? I feel like whenever I'm just like, I'm missing something super important that I'm like, oh yeah. But that's fine. I'll end up reading it anyway.
Exactly.
It's just I won't tell you that I'm going to be reading it, and it'll be a big old surprise.
Why not?
And who doesn't want a big old surprise? Oh, what's that? Oh, that would have been part of the DC offerings. I didn't get a chance to pick that up or look at it. I don't know if we have it.
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna end there.
Okay. Well, we want to thank you so much for hanging out with us. Especially thanks to our super chatters who sponsored today's show and kept the lights on. We do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Before you go, I know that there are quite a few of you out there. Maybe you don't know, but we're going to be in physical, like these books that are coming out tomorrow and Wednesday at the Joe Kubert School in 2 weeks, I think. It's May 20th. That is a Saturday in Dover, New Jersey. You should definitely, if you haven't already, come by and say hello. The admission is free. And admission is free, and we're going to be, hanging out with you, doing stuff. It's gonna be a rip roaring grand old time. So come on by. We're gonna be doing like a live show and stuff like that.
Yes,
we're gonna be like doing a say.
And Ben says there's gonna be food.
Yeah, I don't know.
Ben's like hell bent on this food thing, so there may or may not be food, but we'll definitely have some sort of water bottles.
That's true. But what I ask you to do, if you are gonna go, is click the link in the chat right now, or in the comments down below if you're watching this after the fact. And if you are gonna go, click the link and let us know so that we can get a head count. And we have enough chairs. But yeah, it should be fun. Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's not gonna be streamed. I don't know if we're gonna record anything. We'll see. I don't know. But come by.
Yeah, absolutely.
Last time was a really fun time, and I promise at least as fun a time as last time. I can't promise more.
No, I don't know if we can promise that.
Probably not.
But the fun will be had.
Yeah.
And yeah, go see Guardians.
And go see Guardians Volume 3.
Yeah, definitely.
In theaters now. All right, so long, everybody. Thanks a lot for hanging out with us. I'm Sal.
And I'm Tiffany.
Bye-bye.
Bye.